so this is going to be a bit of a different video for this channel. And candidly, one that I've been putting off for a while, because that's the thing with writing vlogs is kind of once you start, you can't stop, or you shouldn't stop. And that's really what this is. While if you've tuned into this channel before, you've probably seen me reviewing books, mostly science fiction and fantasy. And while that is something I absolutely adore and will absolutely continue to do on this channel, I'll be honest, more of my attention of late has been focused into things more on the AuthorTube side of things than the BookTube side. And my cat's probably going to join us here in a second. Hi, you coming? You coming up? You coming up? Hi. Well, hello. Oh, hello. How's it going? How's it going? How you doing? Doing good? Yeah. All right. You gonna hang out? Awesome. This is Leaf. So because that's the thing. Behind the scenes, I have been writing almost as much as I've been reading, and I really want to continue to sort of keep that trend going by really joining in on the vlog side and on the AuthorTube side, because it's something that I've been consuming a lot of, following along with various people's journeys, and it's one that I want to share with you as well, as much for nothing else, just to hold myself accountable. To keep on writing. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Paul. I work in the marketing industry, or marketing part of the video game and esports industry out here in Los Angeles. Been out here for about 6 years. And for a lot of that time, I worked a really fast-paced, extremely stressful job. I mean, it was awesome in so many ways. I got to travel around the world, putting on these massive gaming events. But it really, work-life balance was basically non-existent. I'm a little bit more fortunate right now. I've sort of changed jobs, and while still a lot of work, I've sort of made more of an effort to commit more to the bit of the work-life balance. And a lot of that has been reflected in the amount I've been able to read, which has been absolutely fantastic. And in some ways, it's been reflected in the amount I've been able to write. A couple years back, as I sort of rekindled my love of reading in that journey, alongside it was my passion for writing, something that I started way back in the day. Sort of fell off, I think, like a lot of people in university. I don't know what it is about academia that just killed any desire to spend any more time than I needed to, with books. But now, no, I have some real aspirations. And while there are a lot of channels out here that are going to be chronicling their sort of adventures and journeys about querying and getting an agent and pitching a book and trying to go the traditional publishing route, while I respect the crap out of that, candidly, it's just not for me. I feel like with my background and my skill set on the marketing side, that traditional publishing just doesn't really feel as appealing. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's awesome. But this channel is really going to be focused on self-publishing. Oh no, I'm gonna have to get the cat. Hang on. Okay, we're back. No, this channel these series of videos on this channel is going to be focused on indie publishing, on self-publishing, and particularly around exploring how I approach it from a business standpoint and the marketing standpoint, because that's what I do. And while yes, marketing a gaming event or a video game is absolutely going to be different from marketing a book, I do hope and feel that some of the skills that I have there are going to be able to transfer, because candidly, when I'm on things like the self-publishing subreddit every day, it really feels like marketing is the area that people struggle with the most. So I'm going to, as much as possible, try and break through how opaque of an area this is and try and make it a little bit more transparent. Whether that's how much I'm spending on ads, whether that's how I'm approaching copy, whether I'm looking at Meta or Google or Amazon, whether I'm talking about social media or looking at the pros and cons of Kickstarter. Those are all things that I'm really planning on discussing here. And speaking of plans, I do have one, a pretty robust one that's going to cover the next couple of years and all of the various projects that I'm working on. So let's talk about that. I need coffee though, so let's do that first, and then let's talk plans and strategy. All right, so let's talk strategy. Now, firstly, I have sort of three main projects that I'm working on, two of which are going to be the priority for the next 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Again, as a marketer, I really need to think of this in terms of big, like long-term strategy, my work back plan. So I'm sort of working in 2 to 3 year chunks right now. I feel like those are large enough time frames that I feel like I can justifiably get these things done while still working a full-time job here in LA, while also setting myself firm enough deadlines that I'm going to keep myself sort of in check here. So the first of the three projects that I'm working on are a series of cozy fantasy short stories. Now these, I'll be honest, started as writing exercises. When I first got back into writing, I started writing this massive space opera, cyberpunk, science fantasy epic, massive, big, broad POVs, huge, galactic scale. And candidly, I was not a good enough writer to get that done. I wrote about 70,000 words of it. I went off and showed it to a couple of people and realized I really wasn't happy with it. So I shelved that project. Putting that one aside, that's the third one here. But as part of looking, okay, what do I want to do in the short term? Sitting down and writing something smaller, more digestible came about as something both a recommendation that other people have made, but also just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to see to completion. And I've been reading a ton of cozy fantasy lately. I think like a lot of us during the pandemic, Legends and Lattes was a book that I read that I really enjoyed. And I think like a lot of people inspired, a lot of writing. I'm someone who's played D&D and Pathfinder in the past. So living in sort of that kind of adjacent or inspired quintessential fantasy world was really appealing to me. And so I sat down and again, what started as a very simple and basic writing exercise turned into this cast of characters that I really liked and I wanted to keep writing about. And so I thought, well, wait, what if this became more than just an opportunity to practice writing, but maybe as a way to get some writing out there in the world? And so I came up with and ideated a series of 4 short stories, all focusing around this fantasy tavern, and therefore Tales from the Tavern became the name for this and sort of the overarching universe. Not very original fantasy tavern, but hey, it is what it is. The first of those short stories is already written. It's already professionally edited and formatted, and the plan is to release it here for free, both as an audiobook on this YouTube channel and for free on my website in about 2 weeks. And that's what this first push is about. So I have a bunch of things that I'm working on. Firstly, got to finish my website. I have sort of a professional website, but I need to swap things over, make it more appropriate for an author. I need to finish working with a designer on the book cover. And then I need to finish this audiobook because while I did hire some amazing voice actors to come work on this, I'm also doing voice acting on this. It's something that I've done in the past. I am also doing all of the production on it, all the music, all the Foley work, all of the editing. There's a lot still to be done. This thing is probably going to be like 2 hours. The short story is only like 12,000 words, but you don't realize how long some of these things are until you sit down and work on it. So that's what's coming up next. That is the immediate term here on this channel and what I'm going to be covering in vlogs over the next couple of weeks. From there, the plan is to release those 3 more short stories in sequence. So the first one's coming out in a couple of weeks. The second one will be coming out probably late January, early February. The third one is looking like May, and then the final one coming out in August. All of this leading up to the release of my first full-length fantasy novel in September. Now, September is the largest month for book releases, followed shortly by February, which is then what I would take all of these short stories, put them together in an anthology, take them down for free where they are living, let people enjoy them for the next year, and then put them up as a full anthology book, like basically a full-length book at that point, in February. And then the last sort of part of this, the second book in this fantasy duology coming out in September of 2026, which is a lot. It's a lot. Even just saying it, I'm going, oh, that's a lot over the next 2 years. And I'm really excited to sort of, show people both this little cozy world that I'm working on, but really dive into this larger fantasy universe that I'm building. This first story, or both stories, are a dual POV father-daughter story, as I'm almost breaking my table, which I love. It takes place in a smaller scale. I would say it lives in an epic fantasy realm, but at a slightly more smaller and more human scale. Essentially living in a world that is managed by magic, and they end up becoming basically climate migrants due to magically induced climate change, which is going to be an interesting thing to pitch to people, I think, given sort of everything that's going on in the world right now, but maybe one that sort of feels a little bit uncomfortably close to home. And that's maybe what I'm going for with this a little bit here. So yeah, that's the first story. I'm obviously going to be more focusing on these short stories right now while I'm building things out. I am very much so a plotter and not a pantser. So I mean, this story is very much planned. These short stories are very much planned. I just have to sit down and write the damn things. And while I sort of feel these moments, these bursts of energy, depending on sort of what's going on in the rest of my life, I find it kind of hard to maintain that a little bit sometimes. And this is really where these vlogs come in. The desire for me with this is to use these as a tool. If I feel like I have to share these stories, if I feel like I have to, continue to be responsible to you who are watching this, who are following along, I need to see that word count going up. And it's been the single hardest part for me. I sit down, I plan, I look at the world building and the characters and the story and these massive obsidian boards showcasing all the different stuff that I'm working on, but not working on, if that makes sense. So again, I'm really excited to sort of join the AuthorTube side of things as well. I'm still going to be putting up book reviews. I'm going to be reading as much as I ever was, because I do feel like, as so many people have said, the best authors are also voracious readers. So yeah, that's the plan right now over the next 2 years. And then the final part of this, of course, will be hopefully by that point, I feel like I'm a good enough writer to embark on this massive sci-fi or science fantasy epic. And again, one of the things that really, I don't say bugs me about AuthorTube, but the thing I wish I could engage with more is I've watched people for a long time, going through drafts and drafts and drafts, going through querying processes, getting agents, trying to sell their books. And they're just these code names, and you never actually get to read any of the writing. And that, I don't know, you potentially watch people for years and you have no idea if they're actually even any good at writing or if you even like their writing. And that to me has always been the weirdest part of this. And because so many people are going the trad pub route, I get it. They have to keep this close to the chest. They don't want to reveal titles. They don't want to reveal any of this stuff because they're going to sell it. But I'm going to sell this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm going to hold on to my royalties, my creative control. I'm going to do this myself. I don't care. I want to share, right? I don't want you to sit down and be like, in 6 months' time or a year's time, if you want to follow along in this journey and be like, wow, this guy's not actually that very good of a writer. I want you to be able to know, like next week, basically, if you want to follow along in this journey or not. Because that just feels more fair. I don't know. Part of this transparency thing, I guess. So that's the strategy right now. A series of 4 short stories, a fantasy duology, an anthology in there as well, leading into approaching a massive trilogy. It does sound like a lot, but hey, here we are. That's the start of this. This is day 1. I'm going to try and get these videos up probably every week to 2 weeks is the cadence right now. This one is less of a vlog per se, more of like an introduction to what these videos are going to be. But in general, I'm going to, a little bit of slice of life stuff, kind of keep more of that traditional writing vlog style here. I'm not really trying to reinvent the wheel with this. I'm just trying to keep myself on track. So yeah, that's it. If you want to join, follow along on this journey, I am also going to be launching a series of author social media pages, which I'm also going to have to keep up to date. It's easy doing marketing for other people, easy doing social for other people, but for yourself, I don't know why I struggle with that immensely. So we're doing it though. We're doing it over on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads will be where I'm looking to create this content as well. So if you're interested, go follow me there. I'll leave links down in the description. And of course, if you like this stuff and I'm interested in following along, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And yeah, that's it. That's all for this first video. I hope you're as excited about this journey as I am, and I'm excited for you to just listen to this first audiobook because it is way more work than I ever could have anticipated, so please watch it. Okay, all right, that's it. Peace. Bye? I don't know. How do you end these things? I've never vlogged before. You don't come with an instruction manual. Okay, that's it. That's the video. All right.